This is The Great Outdoors with Jason White, exploring the great outdoors in Pennsylvania and beyond. Brought to you by the Mariana Outdoorsman Association and by Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds. Now, The Great Outdoors with Jason White.
Hello, friends. I'm Jason White. Welcome to The Great Outdoors. I'm here today with my co-host, Daryl Becker of the Fayette County Farm Bureau. Thanks for joining me today, Daryl.
You're quite welcome. I think this is just a continuation of this symbiotic relationship we're trying to develop between hunters and farmers, and I'm sure we have some things to talk about today about our last venture, and looking forward to future ones. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to start off today with our sponsors. The Mariana Outdoorsman Association. You can join today at marianaoutdoors.com. Again, marianaoutdoors.com. Also, Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds. If you're looking to do an upland bird hunt, pheasant hunt, chukar, quail, wild free-ranging white-tailed deer, wild free-ranging turkey, check us out, 724-579-0924. Or you can go on the website, 10mileco.org. 10mileco.org stands for 10 Mile Creek Outfitters. Again, 10mileco.org. Check us out. And last but not least, special thanks to Washington County Tourism and Promotion Agency. Certainly, and please visit Washington County, PA. As far as the Mariana Outdoorsman Association, have some upcoming events. I just wanted to highlight February the 2nd will be the February trout stalking. As always, we meet at Wild Acres Farm, 1997 Morey Road, Clarksville, Pennsylvania, 15322. We've been stalking every month since October, and we're going to continue stalking big, huge fish. We keep putting tag fish in the water, just as something fun for our membership to experience and do. So if you catch a tag fish, turn it in up at the shop. March 8th, which is a Friday, that is the March trout stalking. As always, again, Wild Acres Farm, 1997 Morey Road, Clarksville, Pennsylvania, 15322. Looking ahead, Saturday, March the 9th, this will be from 4 o'clock until 9 o'clock. This is a collaborative gun and cash bash hosted by Ellsworth Fire Department, Cokeburg Fire Department, and the Mariana Outdoorsman Association. This event will be held at the Cokeburg Volunteer Fire Company. Really looking forward to this. I actually think it's quite an amazing ticket, and a lot of great things on the horizon as we promote our first responders, and obviously committed towards raising monies for conservation. So if you'd like to attend that event, please reach out to us at marianaoutdoors.com. You can give us a call at 724-579-0924, and you can always message us on any of our social media platforms, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. Happy to get you a ticket for that event. And last but not least, I want to highlight Friday, May 3rd and Saturday, May 4th. That'll be the PA Trout Classic. 2-day fishing tournament, catching tagged fish. I'll go into all the details later, but really excited about that. $120 a person, 2 days. You can fish from daylight till dark. Excuse me. And basically, it's free range. You can go up and down the stream following all the MOA rules. And biggest fish is going to be the winner of the day. So really excited about that. Again, you can check us out, marianaoutdoors.com. You can go on Mariana Outdoorsman Association at Facebook, but got a lot of cool stuff going on, and just really looking forward to the future. And I have one other event that I wanted to highlight. Saturday, July 13th. It's this is our 11th annual golf outing, which will be at Cedarbrook Golf Course. 9 a.m. start. It's $120 a person, $480 per team. Tentatively, it's the Mariana Outdoorsman Association, and I think it's also going to be collaborating and benefiting the Fayette County Farm Bureau. Hopefully getting that finalized here in the next few weeks, but certainly look forward to the opportunity to partner with them. Daryl, when is the farm to table this year? It's in August?
Oh, it's in September. It's September the 19th, I believe. I don't have my, you catch me off guard here. I think it's September the 19th. We're finalizing all the details on that now.
So over the next month, we'll be highlighting about the farm to table dinner.
We do have an upgrade on that. We're going to be at the Grayson House this year, so look forward to future information about this. But I'm pretty sure it's September the 19th.
And we're upgrading because it was such a big hit the past couple of years. We kind of outgrew the facilities where we were, and
well, this isn't our 11th, but this will be our 5th. Last year we had 208, 210 people attend, and we're looking forward to that. We try not to go beyond 220. It's kind of an exclusive event. It's pretty unique, and it's probably our signature item for the year for the Fayette County Farm Bureau.
Well, I can tell you, if you're interested in supporting, eating local, buying local, farm-raised products out of Fayette County, that's a fantastic event. Personally,
all the items that are sourced for that event are coming from Fayette County Farm Bureau members, and being our 5th annual event, we've already had interest across the state, and there are several other counties in the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau who have basically got us to give the information about this, and they are trying their own farm to table dinner. So this is a key event to bring farmers and explain what they do and all the goods and the bads that they deal with on a daily basis, and we put the consumer right in touch with the producer.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. There'll be some other events upcoming as well, but I wanted to highlight. Fayette County Farm Bureau just had an upland bird hunt at Wild Acres / Marion Outdoorsman Association, and I must say I was very personally pleased with the participation. I think it was 36 people that participated in the hunts.
Nice cold day for a bird hunt.
It was fantastic, and it was really good to see people out engaged that have never done that before. People supporting the Farm Bureau, and then lots of I would say friendships and relationships were built from that, and that's what's important because we had the opportunity to discuss a lot of issues and topics.
Jason, everybody had fun. Everybody that I talked to, I think it was a great event, very successful. And I think for me, the highlight was the post-hunt get together in the lodge where, our state president, Chris Hoffman, was there. And we met with a bunch of our local legislators and discussed all the issues that we've been working on for the last year and a half.
Well, I think I want to lead into that. We did this last year, and we highlighted a lot of issues, a lot of topics, and we spent the entire year, basically the calendar year, networking with people, updating our legislators in southwestern Pennsylvania and beyond, just listening a lot more than we talked, bringing up issues, listening to people's concerns.
We had a great legislative tour up at Liz and Adam Pritz's Laurel Hill Trout Farm, where people from the Fish and Game Commission were there, both there, representatives from the USDA. So we're trying to highlight a lot of the problems that agriculture and hunters are faced with, and government overreach and permitting is a key on that too. So we have a lot of work in front of us, and I think looking back, this last year has been fairly successful in moving forward, and we got a little momentum now, and we got to seize the day and keep going.
Well, last year, one of the big things we were trying to do was to change internally with the Farm Bureau in regards to the view on Sunday hunting, and that view, it took us many conversations. Many discussions back and forth with folks. I think the thing that was important for people more than anything was not even about Sunday hunting. It was about that there were all these other issues impacting the agricultural community, and they were going ignored.
And it's across a wide spectrum of events. And I got to tell you, Jason, I thank you for your membership in the Fayette County Farm Bureau, and also the fact that you've taken the lead with your expertise and actually have been put on the state Fish and Wildlife Committee and have done a lot of good work there as well. And we continue to move forward. So thank you for your participation, and we value your friendship.
Well, you're very welcome, and I value the relationships that we've built, and I'm really excited about the future because, we committed, like I was saying, over last year in regards to Sunday hunting, and then it was a listening campaign in regards to, well, what are the things that the people in the Farm Bureau, like, what are their concerns? And there was actually just a newspaper article in an outdoor magazine for the state, and it was so nice to see our positive efforts being highlighted. And Senator Rothman, who's Wildlife and Fishery Committee's chair out of that PA Senate, this was huge. It came out that he's going to be working on a package of bills. Everybody knows Sunday hunting's kind of in the barrel, and the Farm Bureau was like, hey, these are things that are impacting people across the state, and I just want to highlight them. One of them is about private property rights and criminal trespass. That was number one on the list. So that was part of this package of bills that are going to be set forth here very soon. Another was about getting agricultural representation on the Fish Commission and the Game Commission Board of Directors. Not somebody that's a Farm Bureau member, not somebody with obviously a direct interest in whatever the organization is or is not doing.
But somebody with some agricultural background and some knowledge about
Yes.
fish and game.
Because there are policies, rules, regulations, permits that are brought forth by these agencies that impact the agricultural community, and that's you have to have somebody with an expertise in that background that can at least engage in an argument or a counter argument or an intelligent thought. When you're talking about, hey, are we going to create this policy? What's the ripple effect of it? Well, when people are making policies or rules or even laws and they don't understand the ripple effects, that's disastrous. And when we do not have adequate people on these boards with the knowledge and the expertise to do this, that's why this has been brought up. So this was number 2. Number 3 was about establishing reforms within the Red Tag program. For those that do not know, the Red Tag program is set up during, we'll call it the summer months, for farmers that are experiencing crop damage, especially during growing and harvesting seasons. This is a much bigger topic than just red tags, but the biggest issue with the Red Tag program is you're required after you harvest a deer to then gut the deer, and then you're supposed to get it into cold storage. Well, I don't want to say
In 90-degree weather.
it's in 90-degree weather, and I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's almost next to impossible. So it's a program that's really lackluster in its design. It's again back to where when you're actually doing it, the process of achieving it is not feasible. So there's a lot of discussions right now just about overhauling and revamping it, looking at ways to make it a better program. And I would say piggybacking off of that same topic is just how these deer tags are being allocated, the different even programs systemically off of that with where we're giving out tags, how they're even determining those processes and methodologies.
Game units versus county units. It's just a lot. And I don't want to gloss over this thing that you mentioned earlier, is that the outdoor show. You and I remember that probably the first event that we did together was when we were in Monroeville at the outdoor show there, when we sat up and spent the whole days, and that was the forerunner to now the state is basically going to be at the outdoor show in Harrisburg. So this is a monumental step forward in my mind. So, it's nice to know that we kind of led the way a little bit on that.
I'm excited about that because I'm expecting that these issues, I'm sure, will be discussed there. Our stance on the change of stance on Sunday hunting.
Well, the Game Commission booth is very close to the Farm Bureau, so I'm sure there's going to be dialogue.
And the last policy I want to highlight is looking about getting a vetted list to where farmers would potentially open up or be given a list as to who they could invite to hunt on their property. a lot of these programs, I shouldn't say a lot of these programs are set up basically where they open the floodgates. And anybody.
A farmer doesn't want to let people on his property that he doesn't know just because they want to hunt. So with the vetting process, people go through this, and now the farmer can at least feel more comfortable knowing that the guy who's coming to hunt on his farm is there to do nothing but help manage the deer population.
Basically, in essence, the way that's set up right now, somebody could have a very bad rap sheet, but as long as they have a Pennsylvania hunting license, they're allowed to go on to these public access areas. And that doesn't mean that person's necessarily going to respect that landowner. They're not going to respect the farmer. So it's basically about giving farmers a true and sincere choice of who they allow onto their private property. And that's...
And allowed to control the deer population on their property.
Yes. And so these are four of the things that really are, I would say, front and center. A lot of the other ancillary issues, I would think, could internally get addressed once you have a little more expertise and knowledge within the boards. I'm excited for the Great American Outdoor Show. We had talked about the Farm Bureau doing it, and then they couldn't get a booth, and now they did get a booth. So just so everybody knows, Great American Outdoor Show, it's the largest outdoor show in the nation. It's out at Harrisburg at the I believe it's at the actual at the farm
complex. Yeah. Do we have a date for it? What's the date for that?
It's February. I don't have it, but it's.
And while you're looking for that, let me say that this thing about the deer depredation and government overreach, this is rampant. I mean, I don't want to sound like a crybaby, but there's government overreach everywhere. There's kind of an arrogance to the fact that they're not held accountable for anything. And just one simple example, we have a guy in the Fayette County Farm Bureau who basically was getting scrap lumber from lumber yards and was cutting it up for firewood to help supplement his income. And they tried to categorize him as a lumber yard, and all he was doing was splitting wood. And the cost would have, for him to comply with what was required, would have been prohibitive. So we got involved with that, and he sought a variance, and he got it, because it's ludicrous to think that you're in your backyard and you're splitting wood and you're a lumber yard. But this has been stuff that's been happening across the spectrum.
Well, it's nice to see in the newspapers, obviously, the Farm Bureau being allies of sportsmen and vice versa. And I think it's very important that those relationships continue to be forged and built and grown and strengthened. And we're headed on a really good path in regards to addressing these issues.
Agreed.
Now, looking ahead, it's kind of the stage has been set for the state legislature and also the governor's office to push this stuff across the finish line to make it happen. If Sunday hunting happens with these combination of items, that's a home run. It really is.
And our state president has been informed and involved, and basically is very positive about some of the things that we're doing, and basically, while we're going from the bottom up, there's another movement that hopefully will start from the top going down to solve these things.
Well, and looking ahead, some things that we're going to be really pressing on this year in regards to, just like we did last year, this year it's going to be permitting. Permitting has become a front and center issue. When we talk about permitting, a lot of permitting issues lie within the Department of Environmental Protection, the county conservation districts, the Fish Commission, and the Game Commission. Those would be the four culprits where it's really a mess. Lots of confusion. It's not really ease of access, not easy to submit the permits that you need. You can't get things in a timely manner. And the timely manner thing has been something I know the governor's office has, they've implemented a new policy where if your permit doesn't get finished in an adequate time, then they turn around and they will give you your money back. Not only is that really not working right now, and that's not an effective means of doing this, general permits right out of the gate, just so anybody understands this, a general permit through the Department of Environmental Protection, these are supposed to be the easiest permits.
Relatively simple.
Relatively simple. So simple that out of the horse's mouth from the Washington County Conservation District a few years ago, a 75-year-old farmer could do them very easily by themselves. I can assure anybody out there that is not the case.
Well, I'll tell you, you've been gracious enough to include me in some of the events that have been taking place with MOA and the permitting that you've been going through on that stream and so on and so forth. And it's ludicrous. I mean, it's just hard to believe that people would cause so much aggravation to someone who is trying to environmentally improve the habitat for trout. I mean, thank you for that.
Well, it's important because I think it's front and center as a general permit number one. So it's supposed to be extremely simple, and to see these bureaucrats taking such staunch and hard stances on things that personally I don't even think they understand. I don't really believe they have an expertise in what they're even talking about. Like, are they an aquatic fish biologist or somebody that even understands the benefits of what we're even doing? And my answer is simply no.
Well, back to being on the board, we have members in our own county farm bureau who are experts in some of those areas because they're producers. They know what they have to do, and these are the kind of people that don't have to dominate the board, but there has to be at least one person on that board that has enough common sense to say, no, you don't want to do that because this will happen, or you don't want to do that because this will happen. But if you do this, this will be the positive effect. So we need this, and we're working on it.
Well, it's very ineffective. It's very ineffective that, how do I want to say this? It's very ineffective in the capacities of how it's set up right now. Not only the methods of how you get permits, but once they're approved, who's the conduit of, like, what do you need 4 and 5 agencies involved with a general permit on a farm? You don't. It's insane. It's asinine. It's asinine. I mean, if we can't classify basic, simple permits and allow things to be simple for easy things, and when I'm talking about some of these things, folks, like, for example, fence posts, like if you're going to do a cattle crossing at a stream, it's a basic premise. It's a general drawing that they provide you with. This is the general way it looks. It doesn't have to be down to the inch. It shouldn't have to be, I should say. But the problem is that's how these agencies are interpreting it. They want it down to like a microscopic perfection. And it's government overreach. Darrell always talks about government overreach. And that's where really this year we're highlighting the facts of what a debacle the general permitting process is. The layers and layers and layers of wasted bureaucracy, your taxpayer money being completely and utterly just wasted.
Cost to the individual. A quick example on something like that would be is like runoff from a roof. You know, they want you to have the capacity that you would be able to have the biggest event in 100 years. They want your infrastructure to be able to handle the biggest thing that will happen in 100 years, and the cost becomes so prohibitive. Instead of just having runoff that would go into a stream and stuff like that to protect the erosion and everything, it's an overbite. You know, they want to solve something might happen in a lifetime.
Well, I think that we've looked at things. Which that brings up, you know, you start talking about the financial side of things. We've gotten so far away. There's so many programs out there. Whether that's I don't know, multi-million-dollar infrastructure projects for businesses or whatever it may be. But when we're talking about these ideas in the agricultural community, although we're the biggest sector of business in Pennsylvania,
number one in the state, number one in the county.
There's no incentives to like, oh, you know, we were talking about this the other day about how they wanted to see about some farms to expand to be able to handle more cows and whatnot. But if they do that, then they have to do more permits. They have to do more ridiculous amounts of infrastructure development that people don't want to deal with it. And I can understand because from my perspective,
you have a personal experience with that.
From my personal experience, just with fish habitat, it's insane. So, like, yes, people don't want to deal with the overreach. They don't want to deal with the constant stress of having to deal with these agencies. And that's what this year, this is kind of like our thing. I would say that Daryl and I are really putting forth a lot of effort and time into, our things that we worked on last year have been not only successful, but they're at the forefront of the legislature to where things are headed in a positive direction. Now we're moving on to the permitting process as a procedure, and I'll give you another permit. Like, this is a basic one. The Pennsylvania Fish Commission decided they wanted to do a notice of stocking. Originally, they wanted a permit application for you to be allowed to stock trout in Pennsylvania. And originally, the argument was, well, it was about not allowing diseased fish to go into streams. Well, that sounds like a good sales pitch, and I appreciate somebody who ever came up with that sales pitch, but that's not true. And why I say it's not true is, and I'll give you this fantastic example, a fact. The fish hatcheries in Pennsylvania are already required to meet the Department of Agriculture's health and safety standards. They are not allowed to sell diseased fish to the general public for consumption. So just take that in. So imagine a scenario. So I'm going to compare this to another thing in your life that touches each and every one of us. Let's say you go to the store, Walmart, or just your local butcher, and you're going to buy some meat. The meat has been USDA inspected. It's been processed accordingly. But before you're allowed to then buy the meat, you then have to send a permit into the government in advance before you're allowed to buy the meat. Think about this. Or your milk or your eggs. It's the same exact premise. The only difference is it's using fish as opposed to poultry, beef, dairy, etc. And it's insane. How many times does something need to be inspected, or do you need a reassurance as the government? And then I asked the question. I was like, well, where were all these like diseased fish? Where were they put in the streams? Oh, well, that didn't happen. We're just trying to prevent it. Well,
see, for me, where the rubber really hits the road is when you stop and think that the largest vegetable producer in Fayette County is basically in a way of going out of business because there are so many deer in his property, and there's no way for him to basically manage that herd because you talked about the red tag. That doesn't work. So, are we protecting? What are we protecting? And think about this now, the vegetables that he sells. We're talking about $200,000 worth of loss. So think of the money that the state is losing from the taxes on that $200,000. And people don't even think about that. So, we're in a crisis stage in agriculture, and people better wake up. I mean, the supply chain is in trouble. I mean,
not only that, but you got to also remember when supply is less, demand goes up, which causes higher prices. So in an economy where you're already seeing inflation, the fact that we're not giving farmers more crop to be able to sell, that's less product to then go to market, which then means right out of the gate, the price has to be higher just to meet their bottom line. Number two, then it really hits on your profit margins to where you can then invest into infrastructure, equipment for the following year, whatever it is that you may need. Maybe you need additional fertilizers or lime on different fields. These are all part of the science experiment that is growing a crop. The problem is you have the Game Commission, you have the Fish Commission, you have the County Conservation District, you have the DEP, and I will even throw into it, you have the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. All these agencies that create their own rules, their own regulations, they're all symbiotic of one another. And we were talking about this the other day at the, the Farm Bureau event. They all impact each other. A bald eagle might not be, something that the Fish Commission acknowledges, but guess what? They eat the fish out of the streams. Same thing goes for a raccoon. A raccoon is a mammal, obviously, but guess what? They will eat the fish out of a stream.
So what's the natural ask here? Okay, so the natural ask for me is if you have a ton of deer that are eating your crops and you're losing $200,000 on that, where do you get some compensation for this since nobody wants to manage the deer herd? The Game Commission hasn't done a census of the deer. It's just there's no activity. It's just you're left to hang on your own, and we we need to start educating and putting this information out so people can become involved like we are, Jason. I mean, this is a dangerous area.
Well, it's I'm really proud of what we achieved last year with all of our collective efforts. It wasn't one person; it was definitely a collective effort.
Absolutely.
But to see the things that we worked on being at the forefront in Harrisburg, I think is a testament to everybody. I think it's so important in politics. It's very important to understand that there might be an important issue, and there was a lot of people that wanted Sunday hunting. I myself was one of them. But you also have to be willing to listen. And with that particular issue, there were a lot of other things that were very important to the agricultural community. And it's only fair that if you're going to to take, you should give back. And that was the whole concept of this. Same thing goes for these permitting and DEP, Fish Commission issues. It's always, from their perspective, in my opinion, it's take. They don't ever give. They don't ever acknowledge or promote the efforts of other people. It's always holding people back. It's like a societal anchor, that old analogy of red tape. How many layers of government do you really need to get involved to deal with before you realize that, Houston, we have a problem? The definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over and over and expecting a different result. And that is exactly where we are as a society when you start looking at our permitting dilemmas, the issues of businesses wanting and willing to expand, but because of the burdens of government, they don't want to expand. And I don't blame them. I do not blame them. Myself, just seeing what I've seen from a permitting perspective in regards to fish habitat improvement, these people are so far over the line. They do not care about the good that you're doing. They don't care about your bottom line. They don't care about really the facts. It's just whatever they say at that particular moment or that day or whatever they believe, that's what they're going to go with.
Here's an example. So we're meeting with one of the district game commission people, and one of the problems for the reason there's so many deer is because there's less hunters. And I don't know about you, Jason, but I was brought into hunting at 5 years old when my grandfather took me out in the woods, and I was his rabbit dog. Okay, so I learned all these things. So we sit and we talk to this guy from the game commission, and we say, what is the game commission doing to going into schools and trying to educate kids about the value of being out in the woods and learning how to hunt? And I wish I had a camera to take a picture of his face, because it was like, huh? I mean, so if we want to solve problems, we got to start coming up with ideas, and we just can't continue the same thing over and over again. He said, they don't have a census for the deer. So you got 2A, 2B, 2C. These stretch across 8 or 9 counties. If you don't know how many deer you got, how many doe permits are you giving out? How do you get data for what's going on? And this man actually said, if you think you can be better off going into a county instead of game units, you're sadly mistaken. They've never even thought about it.
Well, I think that the management units, I think, are insane. I think whatever biologist came up with that should be shipped out of Pennsylvania, and the units could go with them, because common sense tells you that when you have management units that are smaller, more refined, that are smaller square miles, to where you can sell tags and be more pinpoint, it's a better way of management. We have some units that are 6, expanding 9 counties in size. How anybody could argue that those are more beneficial to manage wildlife, you're just flat out lying, because it's not true. It's not a truthful statement. To be able to sell tags or to be able to manage wildlife county by county, if you even go and look at their data, they might have a management unit listed, but guess what? Now there's 9 sub-counties under it, and guess what? They have everything broken by counties. It's not broken down by Mississippi. I mean, you have to You have to.
Well, think about this. No census of the deer. No reporting. I mean, people report deer kills, but not to the extent where they have an accurate number on what's going on. So you issue thousands of doe permits. People buy them and they don't use them because they don't want somebody shooting does because they don't think there's enough deer. I mean, it's a system that doesn't work. It's broken. It needs to be fixed, and it goes back to having people that are going to try to use common sense to change these things. And if the access to these boards is only confined to the people that are on there now, it's never going to change.
Well, we have to look at things in regards to solution-based thinking. You can't sit here and continue to have the same issues over and over and over. It's just like a crop damage. I mean, at what point, I guarantee you, if those people on the Game Commission Board of Supervisors, Board of Commissioners, were in the agricultural community, they'd have a different view on things.
Absolutely.
I guarantee you that if the bottom line of the bureaucrats hinged on the success of the agricultural sector or a farm, they'd have a different perspective.
Well, if they have a financial loss due to this, instead of just dealing with an issue, that would obviously change. So talk to farmers that are dealing with this, and it's survival. It's being able to survive.
And the sad part is the willingness of these people to actually acknowledge or care about what people are going through. And I think that's what bothers me the most of all this.
It's back to the arrogance. I mean, they don't have any accountability, so they know nothing can happen to them. So they just do whatever they want to do, and they don't answer to anybody.
These people are allowing these situations to fester. I mentioned this about beavers. I had a situation on our stream where beavers dammed up along the stream. It was like 4 foot high. Anyways, call the Game Commission. Game Commission comes down. They go and look at it. You'd have thought I had a third eye on my forehead. They're like, well, the beavers didn't do that. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? The beavers didn't do it. Well, who did it? Well, those materials just floated right down. I just see rocks, and I'm like, oh my Lord! Like I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone right now. Anywho, we were told, that's not a beaver dam. And I said, well, okay, well, does that mean I can then remove it? Because state law doesn't, if it's not a beaver dam, then I can remove it. Oh, no, you can't remove that. And I said, well, you understand if I can't remove that and we get a flood, that it's going to cause stream bank erosion. Yeah, you can't move it. We got to talk to the DEP. All right, well, you do what you got to do.
And this is after months and months of communicating with people, going around and around in a big circle. One agency sends you to another agency, and you end up being back in the same spot with nothing changing, okay? So you don't want to be in a situation where you sound like you're complaining all the time, which sometimes I think I do. But, we have possible solutions to some of these things, but people have to open their minds and think and listen.
Well, our goal is to educate people. Our goal is to listen. God gave us 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 ears and a mouth, and we are trying our very best to talk to people, to listen to people, to engage conversations, because we can't fix things if we're not open-minded to change. And the problem with these agencies are, they think the rules that they've established, the regulations they've established, the things that they're proposing, they're not the ones dealing with it. They're not understanding of what they're proposing, how it is, because they don't care. Again, lack of accountability. There's no accountability. They can make our lives a living hell, and they do. And they do, but that's okay, because guess what? Bureaucracy gone wild is what Pennsylvania has turned into, and the only way that we're going to fix it is all of us as citizens of this state acknowledging our shortcomings, acknowledging how we can make things better, and acknowledging ideas and solutions to fix those problems. That's how you get there.
Listen, we're getting pretty close to the end, so let me share a couple things. First of all, if you're really interested and want to see firsthand about this pheasant hunt that Jason talked about, was a collaborative effort between the Fayette County Farm Bureau and MOA, you can go to the Fayette County Facebook page, Fayette County PA Facebook page, and there'll be the last entry would be pictures of the birds and the people that participated in that. If you really want to become involved, you can join MOA or join the Fayette County Farm Bureau, and that's a relatively simple process. You can go to the State Farm Bureau, and there's a QR code that will allow you to join online. You can contact myself at 724-984-2882, and I can get you applications. You can look at the Facebook page. There's also information there, and I'm sure, Jason, you have things you want to say. So,
yeah. Well, thanks again, Daryl. I'm going to wrap it up. It's been an awesome show. We're going to go over again, our special thanks to our sponsors and go over some events here for the Marion Outdoorsman Association. The Marion Outdoorsman Association, you can check us out at marianaoutdoors.com. Again, marianaoutdoors.com. We do tours by appointment, but also we have them listed on a Facebook page and a website regularly. So if you want a tour of our facilities, please come check us out. Friday, February 2nd, we'll be stocking trout. That is at 3 p.m. We meet at Wild Acres Farm, 1997 Morey Road, Clarksville, Pennsylvania, 15322. Friday, March 8th, we'll be stocking trout once again, 3 p.m. That'll be at Wild Acres Farm, again, 1997 Morey Road, Clarksville, PA, 15322. Saturday, March 9th, 4 o'clock, we're having a gun and cash bash. That is a collaboration with the Cookburg Volunteer Fire Company, the Ellsworth Volunteer Fire Company, and the Marion Outdoorsman Association. It will be held at the Cookburg Volunteer Fire Company. So we really hope everybody will come out, support your first responders, support conservation here in southwestern Pennsylvania. We can't say thank you enough. And also, just looking ahead, in May, we're going to have that PA Trout Classic. So there's going to be people across the Commonwealth coming to fish on the 10 Mile Creek and Daniels Run. Really looking forward to seeing everybody. But as always, I want to say thank you, Daryl, for your friendship and your collaboration between the Great Outdoors and the Farm Bureau.
Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Isn't that when the 9 different state agencies are going to come out to tell you got to move a rock 2 feet?
Yeah, very quickly that's going to happen. But we're going to keep everybody up to speed on what we got going on with permitting reforms in Pennsylvania, these different issues that impact the aquaculture communities within the Fish Commission, and an array of other things from crop damages, wildlife damages, etc. So please stay tuned. I'm Jason White. This has been The Great Outdoors, and we will see you next week. Thank you, everyone.